Hello and welcome to Geek and Biscuits with your host Dan and Grant.
Hello again.
Hello again, mate. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Pretty excited about today.
Yeah, did you do some research? We done some research recently.
I have, yeah, I have. I haven't been to the Antarctic to do any research, thank goodness. But no, today, obviously, the film that we're watching that everyone can see or that we've watched and talking about, I've not seen myself for oh, 8, 10 years,
Really?
really, and it is a
Really?
personal favourite of mine. Yeah,
That's a long time.
yeah, yeah, it is. And I watched it on a nice, crisp transfer Blu-ray remaster,
Lovely.
I believe. Yeah. Oh, gorgeous.
Gorgeous, nice one. So, what we're doing, introduce everyone that tonight, obviously, you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what we're talking about already. If not, we're talking about John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, which people refer to as John Carpenter's The Thing or the original, not to confuse with a soft reboot or prequel in 2011, but it's actually a remake itself.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. It's Howard.
Howard Hawks or
Howard
something
Hawks,
like
yes, Howard
that.
Hawks,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The Thing from Another World.
Have
Uh,
you seen that?
I have a long time ago.
Yes, same here, a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I wanted to see what source material uh, looked like, and obviously it's a very very other than the main the sort of the plot threads and that, it's a very different film.
Oh yeah.
And I do believe because I've read the book as well, by John W. Campbell Jr., which is um, again the John Carpenter's Thing does have more. Uh, yeah, it's a bit more faithful. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, it's before we get into the ins and outs of the thing, what makes the thing such an awesome movie. When did you first see it? What's your earliest recollection of the thing?
Um, well, my earliest recollection, sorry, is being it was 1996, I believe,
Mm,
or 95, something like that. Because I remember this will come into play. I remember having a Euro '96 poster on my wall,
right,
and this is I just because I remember at night again shown to me during Sunday afternoon eating a Sunday roast.
right,
What a film to watch while you're eating and being introduced to the film by your dad.
yeah,
Um, and I can remember, take away the film, I can remember waking up in the middle of the night, hearing that my sister was 2 years younger than me, was a little bit having nightmares, so a little bit
right.
scared, upset. So I heard my dad like saying, "Look, I'll stay with you for 10, 15 minutes or whatever." And I just like smiled to myself, thinking, "Oh, what a great film!" I couldn't get it out of my mind. And as I rolled over to face this poster, there
Yeah,
was like a really large spider so close to my face, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And obviously, one of the famous scenes, I think it happens actually twice in the film, where spider legs sprout out
yeah,
of
that's right. Yeah,
Ed's and dogs' bodies. So I was like, so that's such vivid in my mind. But the first time I saw it, I was, I mean, it was daytime, so for me, it wasn't scary. It was just tense, and I've just never seen anything like it. The effects, they're incredible. I was sat with my Sunday dinner or Sunday roast on my lap, like, and I love a Sunday dinner, but I just couldn't eat a mouthful. And it's not because the film was disgusting; it was in a fantastic
yeah,
way.
yeah.
It's just the fact that I just couldn't get over what I was watching. And I think about between like 15 and 16, I'd never really been bothered about watching horror.
Yeah,
Um, Not really. And I think the first film that I watched, a horror film, maybe there was like little bits that I'd seen, but the first horror film that I'd watched was Fright Night,
yeah,
the 1985 version, obviously. And I'm sure this was like the second film.
mm,
So it was just really that Sunday afternoon thinking, I've got a plate full of my favourite food
and I just sat with my jaw open. Like, now I look back at it and think, what was my dad thinking? Like, this gory film, and he's like, watch this and have some food.
Knowing your dad, he did it on purpose.
Yeah, I bet as well. What about you, though, Daniel? What about you? What's your first like memories of the film?
I would have been quite young. My dad had this, and I love my dad for this. He used to get me out of bed in the middle of the night to watch old horror films.
That's
from
incredible.
a really, really early age. Even if it was a school night,
Brilliant.
he used to grab me out of bed. Sometimes, like BBC used to show all the Hammer and Atticus stuff on like at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he'd just wake me up, sneak me down, and so that was like our little thing, which was amazing.
That's awesome.
And sometimes there'd be stuff like he'd show me in the middle of the day, just if my sisters weren't there or whatever. So it was either going to be a late night one, or it was sort of mid-afternoon, Saturday Saturday sort of afternoon. When you just sit down, watch this, you'll like it. Normally, then halfway through, leaving me on my own to shit my pants. But I think my dad called it character building, and
I think he's right.
Yeah, but I just remember being so taken aback by. I mean, we grew up in an age of really strong practical effects. I think when we were growing up, it's the peak of practical effects, and it was before CGI took over. I'm sure throughout this series we'll have plenty to say on good and bad CGI, but the thing was very very creative, and I'd never seen anything quite like what I was seeing, and I think that the designs of the creatures and just how disgusting it was. And that's what sticks with you. It's not necessarily a scary film. It's probably one of the most weirdest, most weird, goriest films I'd seen from an early age. And I think that's what stuck by me. That and Kurt Russell's beard. Because if there's anything to aspire to, if you're going to have a beard, then you go full McCready. You don't go by ours.
These basic beard bitches now that think they've invented the beard need to go back to 1982 and look at Kurt Russell's beard. Did you? I can remember watching the film the Sunday I told you, and I can remember getting the film brought for me by my mum and dad. Had gone shopping to the local town, HMV. As I don't work for them, but I'm going to mention them every time because that's where we did college times and other times. I swear I used to keep them afloat. And I got the VHS at the time. So it would have been in the last life cycle of the VHS tapes, and it was I don't know if you had the VHS or whatever, but it was the cover art was the Ed from, I believe, is it Norris? When the autopsy scene, it's just got a picture of his head. On there, and that again probably is one of the most, to me, iconic images of the film, because that was the thing that I used to see everywhere.
It's whenever you look at clips of the thing, people do retrospectives on YouTube or the top 10 practical effects. It guaranteed that Norris's head pulling away from his body, sprouting spider legs, is that one standout moment amongst a lot of standout moments.
And just to point out, I back probably at the beginning of the year, I did go into a few shops looking for a copy of the thing. And I don't know if it's just me, but there seems to be a lot of different versions out there. And one with the most popular is the edition where you get 2 copies. You get the 2011 prequel soft reboot, The Thing, and then obviously Carpenter's 1982 The Thing. And what I noticed was an HMV exclusive was they actually did a few VHS box type.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you've seen it. It's not just The Thing. The Thing had one of them, and it was the exact same VHS box art cover, like built. It was as thick as a
a VHS box. And it had the exact same. The only thing that spoilt it a little for me was the fact it had a black border around, so it was. Do you know what I mean? It looked too like a collection, too in your face. And again, like I don't know if you have the same problem as me, as if you've got your Blu-rays or anything that you put on a shelf and they're all easy to line up, and then you suddenly get left with a big whacking collection or box out of whack, and it makes it impossible to line up. And it's first world problems, but it's still pretty frustrating.
It is. That's why I do my own covers.
Yeah, you do. Very talented.
I do my own covers and everything.
Maybe we should put a few of those on your Instagram.
Maybe we should. I'll send some. I'll do one for the thing.
I think you should.
I'll do one for everything we review.
That's a great idea. I would do the probably get started soon. You don't want a backlog.
No. So obviously, a thing 1982. Directed by the amazing John Carpenter, who I don't think throughout his career, other than I might be a bit harsh on this because I do know a few people who really love it. I think there's only Ghost of Mars.
Oh yeah,
Ghost of Mars. I think it's the only one I'm not keen on. In his back catalogue, Love Starman.
I will be totally honest with you, and I've never watched Ghosts of Mars, so if maybe that's a thing later down the line for us to see or not, if whichever way we decide to go. But I never really watched it because I love Carpenter. But I think that was the age when so many films were coming out, and we had a few films that had to do with Mars. Was it Mission to Mars?
Yeah. Red Planet.
And Red Planet, stuff. Yeah. So I think it just got all washed up in that for me, and I must have totally forgot at the time that Carpenter had even directed it.
Yeah, so I think I might probably go back on this show and rewatch it and revisit it. I might enjoy it this time. And I think it's just at the time, I think because it's got a non-linear structure, it's very different from previous. It's got the same sort of Carpenter tropes in that, but it didn't quite feel like a John Carpenter film. Whereas, like, we're so used to, obviously, like, you got your sort of horror thrillers like Halloween and The Fog and The Thing.
Yeah.
And more recently, The Ward, which I really enjoyed.
Was that like 2006 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Is that Amber Heard?
It was, yeah. But, then obviously sort of more sci-fi. So, like Starman, Escape from New York, Escape from LA. Always sort of, obviously horror, Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness. You could go on and on.
He titles the Thing, Prince of Darkness and Mouth of Madness as his Apocalypse trilogy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Was the Thing was the Thing? I don't know if I read correctly or remember correctly. Sorry. Was it the first time that he actually worked with a studio? Not worked specifically with a studio, but like kind of a big studio involvement for the thing?
Yeah, it had success with. It did the Elvis TV movie, which I think, and people can sort of message us we're wrong, which helped get him the gig for Halloween. Which then obviously did Halloween and produced Halloween 2. Obviously, I don't think he returned to direct Halloween 2, but then he got sort of.
I don't think he did.
And then it was The Fog, which I think did quite well, but not amazingly well. I don't think it was straight into. It might be straight into The Thing after that. But the interesting thing was, apparently the idea of a remake had been bounced around with Universal since 1976.
Right.
And the original director was going to be Toby Hooper.
Yes, I remember he was supposed to be coming on board. Yeah.
So and that was it also all fell apart. But when they came back round to Carpenter, it was I think Kurt Russell was the first person he spoke to about it because they worked on Elvis together. And they got this really good friendship built up instantly from that, and I think it sort of generated from Kurt Russell helped develop some of the ideas for the remake, and obviously in Halloween when Laurie's babysitting Tommy across the road, they're watching The Thing from Another World.
Yeah.
In that, so obviously he had a big love for it, and
Yes.
the idea seems to be that they didn't want. He was a bit. He didn't want to remake The Thing from Another World because he held it in quite high regard, and the
Yeah.
producers handed in the book and said, "No, read this. This is what we want." And that's where Bill Lancaster got involved, who
Son of Bert.
son of Bert, yeah.
Yeah.
And they together worked on the screenplay. Bill Lancaster, producing a couple of drafts, and Carpenter had sort of tweaked little bits and everything. Eventually getting enough together for Universal to give it, I think at the time, 10 million budget. But when they realised the amount of effects work they'd have to do, they were looking sort of more, I think, up to 17.
Yeah, I'm going to say at least I read that there's reports it's between at least another $5 and $7 million they had to
yeah.
put up.
But what was interesting was they were apparently they were pulling bits from the budget here and there to make it work. So rather than filming absolutely everything on a studio, all studio lots and everything, they went and built Outpost 31 in Alaska on a cliffside, and then just waited for the winter snow to cover it all. and then went there, so they had all that, and again saving money rather than building the Norwegian base. They filmed and blew up the Outpost 31 set, and then just used that as the burnt out Norwegian base. So they made it.
Don't you find it incredible the amount of like ingenuity and trickery that used to be involved before computers could do everything?
Yeah, definitely. And that's the great thing, was just like, it made sense. If you're going to have a completely ruined and partially demolished Norwegian base, and you've literally just blown up your set for Outpost 31, then it makes sense, rather than just building another set to burn it down. It's wasteful.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's like I said, that's ingenuity, that side of things, and there's so much behind this production that it had everything going for it. You think, look at director.
Did you hear the story of Rob Bottin, by the way, the special effects guy?
I heard it was really, he got diagnosed with exhaustion.
He did, pneumonia. Working his backside off.
Yeah.
But the thing that made me laugh is, I'm sure I saw an interview with him a while ago, where he said he was a massive fan of Carpenter and went into one of the meetings and he said, John, I want to come and work for you. I want to do this. I want to do everything. And he just sat back, didn't interrupt Rob at any time. And he just went, this is John Carpenter. And Rob Bottin says, I was just thinking he was going to stand up and go, get out. And he said, I want you tomorrow. You're hired. You better be there at 6:30. See you later. And it's just like, could you imagine that now? Like,
well, that's it. It wouldn't happen, would it?
It wouldn't happen. No.
But that's the thing. See, Rob Bottin, and I don't know if anyone actually knows where he disappeared to, because he's one of these sort of champions like Stan Winston, Rick Baker, absolute titans of practical effects.
And I believe all three are connected to this film as well, because Rick Baker was offered the gig and couldn't do it, I believe, and then Stan Winston had to come in and they helped do the kennel scene, I believe.
Yeah, they did. Because Rob Bottin was just done The Howling, which I think he'd been taught under Rick Baker, so that's how he knew how to do the elongating snout with hydraulics. And the Howling for the werewolf transformation, which I know there's a bit of furor about that because The Howling came out first, but because Rick came up with a design, he won the Oscar for it, which is the first film, I think, to receive a special effects Oscar. I think they believe, didn't they create it for American Werewolf in London? Is that right?
I'm positive.
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
yeah.
that's right. So yeah, so
I think you're right.
yeah, so Rick Baker passed. You know, and Rob Bottin took over. Bless him. You know, second film, only 21. Working his absolute bollocks off because he said to Carpenter, no, each variation of the thing should look completely different. This thing has travelled to different planets, and with each planet, it's taken a form of something new. So, you know, this thing's going to be pretty fucked up. But to keep up with all these effects and everything, and these designs, he was working around the clock, and unfortunately got really, really poorly and hospitalised. And yeah, that's when Stan Winston came on board to help. But what a team!
I mean, that's incredible. That's a dream team.
How good is to have obviously Rob Bottin sort of like starting off well in his career, but then he went on. One sticks out. It always stick out of his work, even though it's a film that's got a very mixed audience. But his work on Legend, notably just for Tim Curry's makeup.
Oh, incredible!
The other stuff, like Meg Mucklebones, and I know we're going off on a big tangent here, but and the Blicks and the other goblins and that, but his stuff for Tim Curry and Legends absolutely phenomenal work.
Well, Tim Curry's unrecognisable.
Yeah, completely. It's just so good.
It's incredible.
But there you go. It's drawn this talent and got him some serious work off it. But again, the talent behind it, you've got Dean Cundy, who's Carpenter's go-to guy for director of photography. He did The Fog and Halloween, and then he went on to work with Robert Zemeckis for Back to the Future, Romancing the Stone, Jurassic Park for Spielberg, amongst many others. Again, such a well-regarded director of photography just there, and his shots in this film are beautiful. His wide angles are fantastic. He treats like Carpenter. You open up Outpost 31 when you actually finally get in the structure, and they treat the corridors as if it's part of the cast itself. You get those really lingering shots when nothing actually happens.
Yeah.
But it's just you get the feel of that base.
Well, I just feel I feel with him as well. It's I mean, I get it from everybody's job, especially excuse me, John Carpenter. But I get the fact that, especially, I don't know, I get the fact that it feels like, going back to like our discussion a previous episode, that it feels almost like a fly on the wall.
Yeah,
that you're there, that like you said, it's like mundane but brilliant. Like if you were dropped off in the Antarctic tomorrow, you could find yourself bumping into this cast of characters.
Yeah.
Not one of them's larger than life. They all feel grounded and real.
Yeah.
And we spoke about that being in Ghostbusters, but I feel like, with, like you said, just every shot, every angle, I feel that obviously, like, everything depends on the scene. I get that, but I just feel their overall tone as well was like believability.
Yes.
Like the mundane, like this is like a film about a ridiculous creature or organism that we've never seen anything like, but it's so based and so set in our reality. And if you and I think the thing I noticed about watching it a few nights ago was my wife kept coming up and down stairs. No etiquette when I'm watching a film, but every time I was asked, is this a thing? Because she's not seen it, bless her. She was like, is this a thing? And because a lot of the film obviously is guys just sat around figuring out what's going off. And so from somebody's perspective, who's walking back and forth and seeing little snippets of the film, like I was saying to you, that mundaneness, the ordinary kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like if I said, oh, I'm watching a documentary about some guys that, or I'm watching a film about a couple of guys that, get cabin fever because they're the research team.
Yeah.
It's like, you could sell that to somebody. It's and I think that's I don't often hear people play up that aspect of the film, but I really, especially in the Blu-ray transfer, I really noticed that was. I just really noticed it. It was such a like I said to you, it's such a crisp transfer. Everything about it, the sound pops more. Everything just looks beautiful, but in a mundane way. And I don't mean that to sound as a real negative. I mean that to sound as positive. And obviously, Carpenter, Cundy, everybody involved. Like, I just feel that maybe either consciously or subconsciously, I don't want to say subconsciously because that feels like I'm taking away from their talent. But I mean, it's just like they've got the film to do, and they've got the setting they like to do, want to do, and the shots that they require to get. And I just feel that maybe this was just like, I don't know, just some kind of subconscious plan of theirs to just make everything. Well, yeah. Like I said, I don't want to detract from them and thinking that, well, they don't know what they do. Of course they do, but it's just like you said, it's they both like fit it so perfectly.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park as well. Thinking about, like, again, not to go on a tangent, but Jurassic Park, everything's so fantastical, but it feels so grounded.
Yeah.
And obviously, just the shots of the film, it's always character focused.
Yeah. There's always
that makes
something.
sense.
Yeah, there's always something going on. It's lived in as well. It reminds me of sort of
absolutely
like when the that first scene after Bennings has been shot, and they're sat around the table. I can't remember if they're playing cards or. And when he gets his
in the rec room.
Yeah, the rec room, and they've got people playing table tennis and stuff like that. It's very much like when the crew in the Thing, in Alien, are all sat around laughing and joking. And it feels lived in. It feels like it's a pre-existing world that you've, like you said, you've sort of just popped into, and you're seeing these guys just get on, and that's a massive credit to the cast as well, because I mean, what a cast. You've
unbelievable.
You've got Kurt Russell heading up. There's McCready is the pilot, and he's mainly he's your focal point. And even though he's not the leader of the team, like that's Gary.
Who's played by captain, isn't he?
The wonderful Donald Moffat, who I watched only the other night in House Sitter. What a set of eyebrows.
Incredible.
But such a great actor. But McCready's the one who seems to take charge, and it's when they talk about going up to visit the other base, or going to check on this, or going to look at the crash site. It's all everything's down on Mac. Everyone answers to McCready. Everyone sort of, you got Copper, Richard Dysart,
the Doctor,
who was also the barbed wire salesman in Back to the Future 3. He's everyone, all these great cast of characters. They all answer to McCready straight away, even though Gary's in charge, and I think that just but McCready's very, very much. He seems, we open on him playing chess.
Oh, he loves chess.
Yeah, he's playing chess, drinking, in his shack.
Chess master.
Yeah, and you've got obviously Adrienne Barbeau, her voice. I think Carpenter's girlfriend or wife at the time. She plays the computer voice. But his introduction is, she beats him, so he pulls his Jim Beam, into the computer, and cheating bitch walks out, and that's your introduction. It's like, this guy's no nonsense. He almost seems like he's a bit bored of being there, but he's got to be there. You got Wilford Brimley as Blair, another great actor.
Wilford Brimley,
another great actor.
Have you noticed how many scenes in the film fade to black with Wilford Brimley pulling a fantastic quizzical face? With 2 or 3 scenes, the film did pan out to Wilford Brimley's face. It's incredible.
Oh, that's great. And then you got, obviously you've got Charles Hallahan as Norris, and Pete Maloney's Bennings, and is it Richard Mesa as Clark?
Yeah, that's the he works with the dogs.
With the dogs,
yeah. You got. I can't think of the guy's name. Is it TK something? It's
TK Carter as Knowles.
Carter. Yeah. He was a stand-up comedian at the time, because I did read that a lot of what the studios used to do is get a lot of like comics to audition for films, even if they felt they might not be right, but they like get them that little bit of experience and see if there's any hidden gems out there directors want to take a chance on. And because one of the guys that apparently auditioned that actually this was Jay Leno.
Really?
Yeah. Could you imagine that chin being? The thing would it couldn't replicate that, could it?
It couldn't. No, you need all its energy just to focus on his chin, wouldn't it? It's
absolutely just a chin squirming about.
I think it's David Clennon as Palmer.
Yes, yeah. He's steadily worked still, hasn't he? He was in Gone Girl, I think.
Yes, he was.
I'm sure he was. Yeah.
Joel Polis is Fuchs. And Thomas Waits is Windows. I didn't realise this, but Thomas Waits was in an episode. He played a cop in an episode of Buffy.
Did he?
He did, yeah.
I think I know that. I think now you're saying that, I actually think I remember.
Yeah, I thought about bringing that up because I know you're such a massive Buffy fan.
I love Joss Whedon's TV land. So that surprised me because I was going to say he was in the Warriors, I believe.
I think he is.
Yeah, I think he's in the Warriors.
But the interesting, the one person we've not spoke about yet, who deserves just as much credit as everyone else, is Keith David.
Well, I love Keith David from the Halo game franchise.
Keith David can do no wrong.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, he's to me, he's the voice of Spawn. It's such a he's so much gravitas in that voice. But Childs is such a good character.
Yeah,
he's such a good foil. I don't mean foil in a traditional sense of that. He's, there's an instant antagonistic relationship between him and McCready, because there isn't. It's just he listens to McCready most of the time, but most of the time. But he's also quick to challenge as well, and they say he's not level-headed. But I didn't realise this. That did you know Keith David broke his hand?
Yes, he had to wear gloves for a lot of the shots. Is that right?
He actually to begin with. He apparently wore a latex glove that they painted to match the pigment of his skin. For scenes on the inside. But for I think it was his left hand, and so for the majority of the film, I don't think you see his left hand in that first sort of third of the film.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's just one of those little things. But he's phenomenal in it, and this is what really works well for that cast of characters. That because they're so good, I think even small characters like Knowles, who don't get a massive amount of screen time, you still care about them.
Yeah, of course.
And when everything starts kicking off, you do get a sense of, because we've already got these established characters, we started before anyone knows about the imitations and stuff like that. You get a full you get a sort of full idea for who they are. So when it comes around, to come around to finding out about what the thing can do, you really can't tell who's who.
No.
You really, and the film does such a good job of building up that tension and all that guesswork that you really, really do find yourself guessing constantly. And it's, although I would say that the first time the dog goes into that room with a shadow, to me that's it's Norris. I think it's got to Norris as early as that point.
But the shadow was created by John Carpenter. So
Yes.
again, not to give anything away, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Even
yeah.
little things that you probably never noticed, he did that, I believe, because he didn't want anybody to even try and guess, even on second viewings or third viewings or home video when it was then. He didn't want anything, did he, to give anything away.
Yeah, and that's the great
Any
thing,
clue.
because there's all that information like you would get where, you know, when it all just start kicking off, you get Max. Because you hear earlier on, like Knowles comes in and says something like, I can't remember what he calls them, but he sort of slags the guys off for putting your dirty laundry in the bins in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So you get, all right, well, so obviously it's got to someone, and then later on you get Max shredded clothes. I think is it Windows who finds them.
Yeah, because he leaves him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you start thinking, well, who did that? Who's planting that seed? Because when obviously by the time we get to the blood test, obviously we're assuming people have, we'll stick up a spoiler warning at the start, but we're assuming that people have seen it who have come to listen to us waffling on. That's.
Well, I hope you've not got here because you want a commentary on the 2011 thing.
That's it, yeah. So, who did it? So at that point, we know that obviously it can't be Bennings because that all happens really quickly. Norris, it leaves Norris, Palmer.
Yeah.
I think, would that be it at the time?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so it has to be one of those. And it's the interesting thing is it makes you wonder, going out sabotaging, why the misdirection, why this, why that? Is it is it literally for misdirection so they don't get suspected? You're forever guessing, and it's the interesting thing with finding out that it's each cell of the thing can create, can infect another cell and another cell, and it literally could be anyone, and it could be passed on anyway. I think that it goes out of its way to show you physically, it's in what could possibly a quick process is when, especially when Bennings is covered in tentacles and goo and shit. Obviously it's a very sort of visceral action, but you can leave your cells on surfaces and stuff. Just like skin cells and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If it's that tiny, like the dog licking, like jumping up and having anything to do with Clark, could be passed on that way. I'm pretty sure the dog nuzzles Norris quite early on. So is that does that mean that its cells are on Norris to change him? That way, or was that more?
Because he obviously he's revealed when he has a heart attack, I believe.
Yeah.
So to me, the old film is about mystery, and it's left ambiguous. A lot of it, even now when we're going through it, there's questions I can say to you, and what is your thoughts on this? What is your thoughts on that? Because obviously, me and you've chatted about the thing before about a lot of films, but have we ever really sat down like what this podcast is? Do we ever sit down and talk in depth and have this time to talk about our favourite films? So for Norris, as like I've been reading a few forums or people I've spoken to over the years, Norris obviously has a heart attack. Or supposed heart attack, and supposedly Norris. So do you believe that's because what the thing replicates all the flaws in the genes and the conditions that he has?
I would assume so, because if it's replicating, if it's only got him as a basis to go on, if his, let's say, if his arteries are damaged anyway, or if he's, or whatever, and it's only got that to go on, because you got to think that if it's, let's say Norris is the first human it ever comes into contact with, it can't heal a heart valve if it's never tried taking over a human before. So surely all the defects must be present.
Well, you'd assume so, but I know there's a bit of back and forth, because I know what people. I mean, to me, you refer to the blood test scene, and like you said, McCready's character, Kurt Russell's character McCready gets the idea to do the blood test when he sees Norris's body that attacks the Doctor, and then the Ed separates. So he starts to feel that it's, like you said, it's each part is separate. Like the organism is its own separate entity and organism, and it. And we see, obviously, it react to heat because it's a fight and flight kind of reaction from it. So is that again replicated in that Norris scene when the fact that he thinks he's saving somebody's life, the character, the thing obviously wants to stay hidden, but that's electric from those paddles, from that defib. It's on his chest. So and again, some of these answers and some of these things that we're talking about might seem fairly obvious, but at the time, I think the film does a very good job of not overloading you with characters and information, because I think the film as well moves along at quite it's not a slow film by any means, but it's not like there's an A, B, and C plot in the film. It's just focused on this. But I think the film is a very good thing. The paranoia and the dialogue, and like you said, the character work so good that sometimes when I'm watching the film, I find it not hard to keep up, but I find it difficult to go, almost to have that time to soak a set piece in, or to soak that in and go, okay, yeah, great. I mean, one of the things I must have seen it and noticed was the character of Fuchs. Is it Fuchs? For the first 10 minutes of rewatching it, I was there going, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Genuinely, I was like, who is that guy? Where's he come from? Is this a special edition? Who is this guy? Is George Lucas CGI'd him in? And then I think is the scene where he picks up the acid bottle when McCready goes in to talk to him, and then because I think obviously that's a kind of self-defense if he's getting attacked. And then I was like, I remember you.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. These like fans have been debating things like, well, what if Norris is the thing? Why is the thing just suddenly attacks the Doctor? Why does this not do you know what I mean? Why is he not staying in? If it's taking it and it's travelled all over the galaxy or solar systems or whatever, why is he suddenly showing himself? Why can't it fix an artery or any muscle, any organ? But I think this logic, even though like me and you speaking through this now, and you're saying like, to me, it's logical thinking, like it's taking over somebody. If it's copying somebody, it's a copy. Yeah. So that means everything. It's not imitating, is it? It's copy first off. It's so it can't be like, well, I've copied somebody else. This is their art. It's them. So to me, that's logical thinking, and going from the heat in the blood scene, again, logical thinking, it's been attacked, so so that reveals itself, and obviously takes the Doctor's arms off. But I just feel, I don't know about you, but sometimes the film is very methodical and slow, and you're there with them trying to figure it out. The entire film's tense, but at the same time, it's like not a lot happens, but a lot happens, and the characters are all memorable. So you're trying to keep up with it. It's like, it feels like you're there with them.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, when I was watching it yesterday, and there's a bit with Windows where everything's kicking off, and Windows backs away, and he lowers his head, and he does that sort of, whenever someone says, "Ooh, show me your evil face," and they sort of put the head down and look up.
Yeah.
And Windows does that. So, if you'd not seen it before, you'd have probably thought, obviously we know Windows isn't later on. But at that point you're thinking, well, does that mean, because Windows is backing away, he's backing into a corner, he's looking all sort of menacingly evil and everything. So Windows must be one.
Yeah.
And obviously no, it's not, it's just misdirection again. And then it comes to, and it turns out to be, when you get into the blood test, it turns out it's Palmer, who throughout the entire film has just watched videotapes and got high.
Yeah. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah. So it's like when he says that, was that Palmer? Or
misdirection from the thing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And that whole thing, it's just the whole sort of Palmer ripping out his face, melting away, and killing Windows. And when it gets down to finishing doing the blood test,
ragdoll.
and it's the bit where they do Childs. He's just going, cut me loose, cut me loose. But do you know what? My favourite thing out of it has to be Gary's reaction when he goes, "I know you gentlemen have been through a lot. But I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch."
That's so. I don't know about you, but when I first saw that, it's so tense. The blood test scene is.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I felt we needed that from Gary.
Yeah.
It was that. It
breaks
was that
it
relief,
up.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it completely breaks it up. Yeah.
Did you know? You know when this is what I feel why this is probably Carpenter's best work. Right. You know where McCready's holding the petri dish?
Yeah.
Blood in. Did you know that's a fake hand?
I had heard, yeah.
Yeah, so he's holding the dish with his left hand, but it's a fake hand. And usually in a film, you'd watch that and you'd go, "That's fake."
Yeah.
Or like you're saying, the camera, the shot, the camera angle, whatever. The focus of it would be that, and you think, right, something's coming. But because they don't just use a fake hand for the effect shot when the blood jumps out of the dish, because obviously something's pumped up through the fake hand to get the blood to jump out. But I feel what's so good about that is they've put that in 3 shots before.
Yeah.
So even if you notice that it's a fake hand, you don't overtly notice, then you think, is it? Oh no. And then your mind starts carrying on watching the film.
Yeah, it's not like you're suddenly going, "Oh, hang on a minute, they've switched to a fake hand."
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the film, to me, that sums up the entire film, like the professionalism, the attention to detail, every misdirection. Do you know what I mean? And that with Windows, it's not obvious, is it? Because you don't know, like it is a bit of an evil look. It could be interpreted that way, but equally, it could have been so much, couldn't it? It could be like, I'm backing away, and then he finds that kind of a little tiny bit of courage or a bit of confidence in himself, and you could think, okay, I buy that.
Well, that's the same thing with Blair as well. Sorry to interrupt, but it's the same thing with with Blair, is that when he's doing, he checks everything out and he starts processing the information, and you get the computer report of saying how long it'd take for the entire world population to be infected, and then from the next bit, he's going crazy, smashing everything up, because he knows that none of them can get out there alive, just in case, and he's so on the ball with it. He completely loses the plot, up to the point where they have to lock him away, and the next time, the scene after that, when they go and talk to him, he's got a noose hanging. So he's clearly completely broken by it. But I wouldn't have then, towards the end, when they go to find Blair, because they want to go and do the blood test on him, which is the next sensible step, I would not have thought then that until they go and find that little spaceship he's been building, that Blair was the thing. And even when he was going back and they said, I think it was, when McCready thinks he sees, McCready thinks he sees Blair tampering with the helicopter.
Yes, yeah.
And you think, well, surely, to me, that would be, well, he's doing that because he's sabotaging everything because he doesn't want anyone to get out of there just in case. But was he just sabotaging? Was he already in imitation, scavenging parts for his ship? And
but that's the genius of the film.
Yeah.
You find that like now I could say, well, I actually believe that on the strength of Wilfred Brimley's performance, that I believe that when he was going apeshit, smashing up everything, and I'm not just thinking of the bit that cracks me up all the time. And it's not like an intentionally hilarious scene or not that it's bad. It's just brilliant because it's true to the characters. Where I can't remember which character walks in and goes, "Look, I don't know if it's Windows," and he's like, "No one's going to hurt you," and he just goes, "Get back away from me," and then he just pulls out a gun, shoots every shot that's in there, and then throws the gun.
It's Childs. McCready sends Childs round.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah, the time.
Because he says, "Look, Blair, calm down, man," or whatever. He just turns around and he goes, "I'll kill you." Fucking
Not just
brilliant.
1 shot, 2 shot, shoots
throws
uses
the
up
gun.
all his ammunition, and then throws the gun. It's
Yeah.
going to give him a really bad bruise if he can't shoot him.
But that's the thing,
Fantastic.
when they lock Blair away and he's saying, keep an eye on Clark because he's been near the dogs, and then he says,
Yeah,
it says, I think it's Fuchs, I think he said, and then he goes, no, it's not Fuchs, and it's like, well,
yeah,
at that point there, is he the thing?
yeah,
And then because it does pose the question that, his, they make a point of saying that Blair's shack was locked from the outside.
yeah.
But obviously he's been scavenging parts from somewhere. So does that mean one of the other characters, one of the imitation characters, was helping him? It always comes back to that question as well of who sabotaged the blood.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that just it's a bit of a head fuck because Copper says he's the only one with access to it, but he needs the keys off Gary. Gary says he's never given the keys to anyone, and we know that Gary and neither Gary or Copper were imitations.
No.
So what happened there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not out of the stretch of believability, though, is it? That the thing could, with whatever kind of weird, like tentacles, could have got into that without it to completely put the focus on.
I think Palmer walked past Gary, Gary just waved, hello, Palmer, and this little tentacle blipped out and pitched his keys off him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I find that all the way through the film that, like, I always thought that Blair was taken over after he was locked up. That's how it's always been in my head.
Yeah.
That they put him in that cabin and something got to him. But equally, I don't. That's just like was in my head from the first viewing, and then you kind of, like any film, don't you? After you've not watched it for quite a few years, you remember, set pieces really well and certain bits of dialogue, but you just think, oh yeah, Blair's the thing, but you don't like think about whereabouts it happened. I think that's the genius of it, because each time you watch the film, you can think, I know exactly, I can pinpoint exactly where, and then something else happens, you think, shit.
Yeah.
So, like, rewatching the film, it just gives you that. It's just that rewatchability. It gives you that. It lets you. It's like not like experiencing it again for the first time, but it is. You go through the motions with the characters. Don't you? Go through again that word mystery. I mean, God, JJ would love that, wouldn't he?
He would, yeah.
His mystery boxes, but that mystery and I don't know. But I mean, I'm just one of those kind of people that, if I'm watching a whodunit or if I'm watching something that's, my mind's trying to push ahead of the plot.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this film, it's just got so much of that when you can clearly go, yeah, that's happened. Oh no, it's maybe not there. And then, so I feel it always keeps you on your toes, and it's one of those things that's so engaging. Even on rewatches, you want to be figuring out every little detail because so much happens. And like you said, like, well, who did that? How did they get to that? The dog's the only, like, when I share it to people, the dog's the only one. The dog didn't touch anybody, or did the dog touch, like you said, Norris and that?
Yeah.
But actually, that's not just what could have happened. There could have been so much more opportunity for people to be.
There's a lot what we don't see, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of it, because it starts. I mean, the whole thing, we don't know what's going off unless even if you've seen the thing from another world, you still don't have an idea what's really going on. I think if you went into that film cold, no trailers, no information or anything, and you get that start with the helicopter chasing the dog.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going off. You don't know why are people shooting that lovely that lovely dog, that gorgeous little dog, and you just think, why is it going on? Obviously, unless you speak Norwegian, because apparently the guy does say Norwegian. Get back, it's an imitation. It's not a real dog. So unless you speak the language, it's not spoiled from you straight away. But
No.
then the dog's let in. It mixes with everyone and everything. And it's not until they put it in with the other dogs. But then as soon as they put that dog in with the rest of the dogs, it kicks off in such a big way. And if you don't know what's coming, when the dog's face splits,
4 ways.
Jesus Christ! And it's not just that. It's not just that. It's doing that, and its tentacles come out and try and wrap around the other dogs. It's then that when they start attacking it, those fucking legs come out. And then these giant fucking arms come out of nowhere and try
and pull it through the rafters. Yeah.
And he just.
You know what really gets me is that when it
Jesus.
squirts that ooze out at one of the poor dogs.
Mm.
Oh God, poor bastard.
Have some pink shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, can I just segue to? So I know obviously this is the 1982 film, but obviously I think people will know. But they did like a prequel.
Yes.
To the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I only want to point this out. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me. I think it's a well-made film, as in it's enjoyable, it's watchable. But my problem with the Thing 2011, apart from the fact they call it the Thing, it's a prequel, and people were paid a lot of millions of pounds to not be able to come up with an original title, which baffles me. But if you watch those films back to back, I've not done that. But if you watch those films back to back, it completely kills the 1982 suspense of the first part of the film, like what's going off, like you just said about why is this dog getting shot at, what's happened in this base. It's like that, the entire film of what's happened here, could the Thing have got there, who's this, what's happened in this base, it completely kills the momentum of that film. So you're sat treading water for the first 20-30 minutes of Carpenter's film.
It becomes unnecessary.
Absolutely.
That's it. And it like you said, completely takes away that air of mystery. It's, if you know everything going into the second, if you're watching the 2011 Thing first and you go on to, like a lot of people say, oh, go watch the second one, even though it's not, then like you said, it's very much like, it's the same effect of watching the prequels of Star Wars before Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Because any impact of the reveal and, spoilers.
Spoiler tag for 1980 film.
Yeah, but if for those, but obviously, the big reveal that Vader was Anakin Skywalker, and therefore Luke's father. If you watch the prequels first, then the impact of that scene alone is completely it's demolished.
Well, it's the entire film structure, isn't it? It's the entire character arc of your main hero is built around that. So it's not just, like I say, it's not just the last part of the film that it ruins. It ruins all of it, or it impacts all of it. Sorry, not ruin, but it impacts the entire thing. And like I said, like to me, I'm not saying the film's a bad film, the 2011 version, but it's just like going back to the scene on the with the doctor with the defibrillator and Morris heart attack. The Thing in the film, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, wants to hide. To me, it's found this new host. Like you said, maybe it's the first time it's come in contact with a human being, and it replicates them. Right? It doesn't have time to completely get the dog right, so it's burnt.
Yeah.
But it's already obviously got to somebody else. So, is there a part in that film where the Thing doesn't want confrontation? And that's also what I like about it. It's not a movie monster where it's going around and it's like this unstoppable badass that just wants to wipe everything out. It's creating itself, isn't it? It's just replicated. But I don't ever feel that it to me it's like very intelligent. It doesn't want to be out in the open and to be known. I mean, the tagline was "Mankind is the warmest place to hide."
Yeah.
But yet in the 2011 film, I don't know if you can remember the shot with, is it Kate, Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yeah.
She stood facing the camera looking at something. There's a female character behind her. And suddenly you start hearing like clothes fall off and rip and flesh change. And then she turns around and she just turns into like a gooey mess and she begins chasing her. And I just feel like it's apart from the stealing and having the setting and stealing the title, I don't feel it really understood anything of what Carpenter's film was about.
It's like someone sat down and went, "How did that axe get in that door? Why is that guy's face melted into another face?" Well, we really need these questions answering, and we really don't.
No,
Again, I'm not saying it's a terrible film. I just think
No.
it didn't need to be a thing. You know, it just, again, and when you see the original effects reel by ADI, of all the practical and all the really hard work they went into just to have that completely demolished with CGI, it becomes even more of a tragic film because, especially if you're trying to marry the films stylistically, whether it's aping, Dean Cundy's shots, or whether you're aping, sort of the look and feel of everything. Everything's got to look the same or whatever. Then by adding CGI, it's why I like a lot of elements of, especially Force Awakens, is when, and I know we talk about this a lot, but it's that they went back to practical effects.
Yes.
And I champion that over because it has to marry with everything else. Everything has to look beat up in post-Empire Star Wars or during,
of course it does.
that sort of thing. So again, going back to the thing, by having everything, and I think that's the issue. They spent all that money doing these amazing effects, and I'd tell people to go out and find it's on YouTube, to go and look at ADI's original effects work for the thing, for the 2011 thing, because it's phenomenal. Animatronics are so good, but and again, it goes back to the Wolfman. Was it 2010?
Is it Benicio del?
Yeah, and they hired Rick Baker to do the werewolf designs. Because of American Werewolf in London. If you're going to try and do another iconic werewolf film, for me, you would go to Rick Baker.
Absolutely.
Just because of the work on American Werewolf in London, but you don't then ask him to work really hard and do this amazing transformation because you want it done in practical effects, to then go, you know what, we've got an extra couple of million lying around, let's just CGI over that. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a disgrace.
And I feel sorry.
The chocolate cake for you, Dan, I've just made. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I'm going to take a shit on it.
Yeah,
because that's equivalent to me.
It's as disappointing as waiting for a pizza when you open the oven door and the oven door shatters.
Fantastic.
And for those who don't know, well, who would know, me and Grant have been friends for a very, very long time. And I went to his house once while we were at college, and I was cooking pizza, as you do. So I went to check on it, even though it was none of my business, touching his mum and dad's oven, and pulled the door off and shattered all the oven glass all over the floor. Luckily, I think your mum was ready for a new oven.
Yes, that week I think as well.
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that I was invited back again after that.
Well, it was only an accident, but it was just hilarious. I think it's because it's so innocent, like just checking on the pizza, like you feel that nothing could happen.
I think it was like the second time I'd ever been to your house as well.
I believe there was a few of us as well, weren't there? It was like pizza and Xbox and
that's it,
stuff. Yeah. Wow, what a memory that was. Speaking of Xbox, we said it for a segue. Did you ever play The Thing? 2002 video game.
I played it briefly. I never owned it, so I think I went to probably John's house, or it might have even been yours. I don't know. So I played on it briefly, but I never got that experience. I did want to. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I know Carpenter's praised it because spoilers. With the last boss battle, you get to work with MacReady. Saves you, comes and picks you up in the helicopter, gives you a big gun, I believe rocket launcher or something, and you can blast away at this nice little blob.
But the game itself, yeah, it was good. I think at the time I just wasn't ready for that kind of game. I'd not really played those kind of games, and it was fucking hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I think what I liked about it, and I know that because we're English and we're saying thing quite a lot, is we're not getting paid to say the thing. So when we say thing, we don't always mean the film, if that's confusing for people. So we're not paid to say the thing, and we do speak insanely. But I like the team dynamic. Of you were a kind of a military guy, you had a squad with you, and it was dynamic. So at the time, back in 2002, it was quite unique. So by that, it means that you've got a squad of 4 other people with you. You had to keep a check on their sanity because they wouldn't trust you, so they could start shooting at you, believing you were the thing, or one of your teammates were. And then if one of your teammates was the thing, and then you saved them or destroyed that copy, your teammates would then react accordingly to that. So they'd actually follow you more, help you out more, give you more ammunition, stuff like that. But then next time, say you died, and next time you restarted it up, it wouldn't be if the thing was, I don't know, the generic white guy on your team. Next time it could be somebody else, could be the Asian guy on your team. Or it could be nobody until you encounter some other kind of creature. So yeah, it was good. I'd actually really like to get it and try and replay it, but I just remember it being so difficult.
See, that's the thing about having that ending. So sort of McCready surviving. I think they tested with audiences a happy ending.
Yeah.
For where sort of, I think even where like some helicopter lands and the military get out and sort of like, oh, you guys could do with a warm up or whatever, and the audiences didn't like it. And I think Carpenter really pushed for that ambiguous ending between child, and I like it. I love it. That I think that Charles is sort of questioning what do they do now, and McCready's like,
So what's your initial thoughts when you first saw the film? What did you think to the ending? I don't mean like, again, it fits in perfect, matches the tone. But did you think any of them were the thing? Did you think Charles was the thing or McCready?
Initial viewing, probably not, because I'm quite young. But I think there's a lot of theories going around that, and I did notice this last night that McCready's breathing, is sort of, you can see his breath in the air. And Charles, you can't. Whether that's just
I saw a video where you can see his breath once. Whether that's a mistake or again, that's what's about the film.
But no, I like it how it is. I think it fits. It fits. It's perfect as it is. Yeah.
Everything's ambiguous to me. There's several points of the film where everybody will interpret it slightly differently. And I think the ending fits in perfectly.
Oh, definitely.
Myself, I believe none of them are the thing.
Yeah, I think it's
unfortunately that they're going to both die there.
Yeah, they're going to perish. That's it. But knowing that they've done what they've done, and the interesting thing, I did read that because obviously we see even Fuchs getting burnt up, whether he set himself on fire or what. But we see everyone's death apart from. I think it's Knowles. But I did read that in the novelization that they released not long after, there was supposed to be a scene in there, but where he because the last we see of him is just walking down a corridor setting up the dynamite. But in the novelization, he gets confronted by the thing. So he gets a splinter of wood. And stabs himself through the neck with it, so he can't be imitated.
Yes. I've read that as well.
Yeah. So it's
part of me though thinks that maybe that's better, because I just feel that if this was a slasher movie, you would see each victim, you would see each character. But what I like about the setting that they're in, dynamite's involved, an alien creature that kills and
replicates you, so there's really nothing left after a bit. So I just feel that it's those films, one of those films, sorry, where it just feels so natural. Like you're not sat there going, well, we've seen everybody's body, well, we've seen this. You know what? In that situation, you might not see what happens to every one of your squad mates, your teammates, the people you've been working with for the last so many months out in the arse end of nowhere. So for me, I just feel that it adds to that claustrophobia. It even adds on the first watch. Well, where the fuck's he? Is he going to come back? Is he part of this? Is he still going to come out and get me?
Yeah.
And I just feel that, like, I don't know, everything just adds up to this film being a little perfect gem of like natural interactions and characters and stuff. Like I said to you a couple of days when I watched the film, I was like, who is this guy? I can't remember seeing this guy. And then Fuchs, and then I was like, oh yeah, is this the death where I've always been sat trying to figure it out? And I just feel like ambiguity adds to the film, because obviously the film's about tension and do you know what I mean? That's the film. That's the main enemy of the film, is not the thing. Obviously it is, but from a point of the tension, the mistrust of each other, that's the film. We don't see the creature. We see it once at the end. I believe that there's a few shots you can see on YouTube of the creature moving around a little bit, but it's 2 stop motion, so Carpenter binned that and said it just didn't fit in the tone of the film.
But
the film works because of tension.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Great. That's the thing.
That's it.
Yeah. Is that we will never know what its original look was.
No.
You know, whether even if it has one, whether it's if it's all cellular. You know, is it sort of also it's like microwave?
That's why the ship crashed. How can it self-fly a ship?
Well, that's it. I think there's one thing we've not touched on just before we sort of wrap things up, is the score.
Oh yeah. Ennio Morricone. Yeah.
Who for me was always famous for doing spaghetti westerns. And I know he's done other things other than spaghetti westerns, but it's sort of like his main bread and butter for me was always, especially like the Dollars.
Waiting for more food. You're making me hungry. Spaghetti western, bread and butter.
But so that's sort of there's the Dollars trilogy especially. So coming along, and I was reading that Carpenter had already laid down a bit of a synth demo, which I think you can tell what's Carpenter's work.
Oh, absolutely.
And then he sort of sent it to Morricone, who turned around and went, "What do you need me for? It sounds like you've already done it." And Carpenter said, "I got married to your music. I need you. I need you to do this for me." And there is a big difference between you get Carpenter's theme, which is like the synth, the dum dum, dum dum, and then sort of like just like the odd notes sort of merging together. But then you get Morricone's sort of orchestra sort of coming at certain places. But the two marry incredibly well.
And that really stood out for me watching the Blu-ray remaster transfer. That really stood out for me. That was incredible.
And that's the thing. I think he did quite a bit of work that ended up being released on the soundtrack only, because they didn't use a great deal of it. But it works. It's one of those really nice sort of. And
it doesn't hold your hand, does it? It's not like this piece of music now is telling you how you need to feel.
Yeah.
It's not that light manipulation of like, oh, we need to feel sad now for this, or we need to trick somebody into thinking this character's the thing, or maybe not this scene. Let's play a bit of creepy music on it. No, it's very restrained. Is what.
Yeah.
And it matches like you said, what Carpenter had actually already laid down for him. So no, I'm a really big fan of his work on this film.
Yeah, definitely. So any final thoughts?
Please, if you've never seen this film, give it a watch. And also,
make sure it's this version, not the 2011 version. Because I was going to say to you about just for the ending very quickly, is that I'm sure in the 2011 version they try to figure out things by saying it can't replicate fillings and things
Yes,
in the mouth.
yeah.
So Child has a hearing in his right ear, I believe. So like, does that again add credence to the fact that they're both human, or Child is definitely still human? And I think again, if this to me, if I can't convince you to watch it, or not even watch it, just how good the thing is, and how much effort and I don't know, quality control, like just people spent time on the film just to ensure that every little bit of it means something.
Yeah.
Is that to me is that everything's so ambiguous, and then you've got a film made years later that kind of like you said, it's a good film. It's competent. It's well made. It is interesting, but it kind of unintentionally cannot add. Unintentionally, it kind of tries to undo everything that it's trying to pay homage to. So if that doesn't like kind of get anybody who's maybe not watched it, or maybe not watched it for a while, to sit there and think, you know what, I might actually give that film another watch.
Yeah.
Or I've never seen that film. Well, 2011, it's all new CGI, it'll be new effects and stuff. No, please just watch this film. Watch the Blu-ray of it. The DVD transfer is still good, but watch the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
I think this transfer we've seen is the I think it was the Arrow.
Yes.
I think it was that version, which is a really good transfer. That, but I would say, definitely go out and see it if you haven't seen it. If you have, just watch it again, because it's such a good film, and I think you find something new in it each time you watch it.
Yeah, like I didn't realise that they don't use the Universal logo.
Yeah, well, you said, the last time you watched it, they've created a brand new character.
Absolutely. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But yet, it's just so much going off. But there's only one plot, whereas sometimes a B or a C plot. It's just it's just a film that I don't know. It just demands a rewatch.
And it's a great old school style of filmmaking we don't tend to see anymore. And I'm not saying that all modern films are awful or anything. I think there's a new school of filmmaking coming out, and I think there's what I like about the content of the films or not. Blue Mouse do a hell of a lot on not a great deal of money.
Yes,
which harkens back to the old school way of filming. That sort of almost indie way of filming, and making stuff up as they go. So I really appreciate what they're doing as a production company. And this goes back to Carpenter as a filmmaker. Just seeing what works through having to make stuff up as they go, adding bits, taking bits away.
Just feels honest.
Yeah,
that's one thing I'd always describe Carpenter as honest. His films feel that, all his characters relatable. Everything you watch, it feels there's been a decision made about it, and it's been made to like service the story, not like, oh yeah, let's throw this in.
Yeah, and it's not showy either.
No,
it's it's restrained, and it's pretty to look at, but it's not. I think being able to be up close and personal with all these effects as well, if you didn't have confidence in your effects team, they just shied away from it, like a lot of films did do. A lot of stuff would be in the shadows. So again, for him to be so confident that Bottin and his team's work was so good, then like I said, it's credit to him for showing it in all lit up as much as he as it did. And so and that's what I think people take away is, if they haven't already got an appreciation for practical effects. This film was made on, I said, anywhere between sort of $10 to $17 million. Consider that with what the last Avengers film was made on.
Absolutely.
And as much as I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know what CG, as much as like Thanos looks great and mocaps they're doing amazing stuff with mocap at the minute. Sometimes less is definitely more.
Absolutely.
And I think it's something like this just makes me miss those old masters like Rick Baker. I mean, Stan Winston, bless him, he's left us anyway. But Rick Baker retired because there wasn't a great deal of demand for practical stuff anymore.
No.
Rob Bottin went the same way, but he disappeared quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It is sad.
That's my final thoughts. It's a shame that. I mean, ADI after the whole thing with their effects not being used for the 2011 thing, they went and crowdfunded Harbinger Down, which I would recommend people seeing because it's a full-on practical effects driven film. That they funded themselves. Well, so crowdfunded, then funded the rest themselves, and did it old school.
So, can I ask you to leave one final question?
Yep.
I'll ask that question actually. So, the year's 2011, Daniel. You've been hired to make a soft reboot / prequel to The Thing. What would you call the film?
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't make it. I kind of get what they were doing, because it is The Thing. It's indescribable.
Yeah.
It is just, I think you'd probably call it. I don't know.
See, I've got two suggestions.
Come.
One, why don't they call it Who Goes There?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Right. Or why don't they call it Something?
Something, yeah. Or The Thing. Yo Sweden.
Yo Sweden. Yeah.
Sorry, it's one of those rarities, but that's what I love about McCready, is that they go out of the way to say it said Norge on the side. They told him it's a Norwegian base, and twice he shouted, "Yo Sweden!" It's like the Norwegians, mate. He doesn't get shit. But yeah, I'd call it The Thing.
They're all meatballs and furniture to him.
Yeah. The Thing, Yo Sweden. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. But I like Something, or Who Goes There. Yeah, definitely. But again, I wouldn't have. I think money could have been pumped into something original.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than sort of going through back catalogue. I'm not saying, because obviously if it wasn't for The Thing from Another World, we wouldn't have The Thing. So not all remakes, reboots are a bad idea.
But if there's one film, if there's one property that I believe didn't need a prequel, then it would be The Thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I personally I would keep it as it is, just an individual film on its own, that's ambiguous, that leaves everything to your imagination, which is fantastic, which people just don't want anymore. But if you're going to spend the money, make a sequel.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be tied to.
No, I don't think you've seen the film, but they did Doctor Sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. But that I really enjoyed that movie, and obviously it's a sequel-ish, but it is a sequel to the story, a character, but it's not a direct sequel. So it just shows you that there are still people out there, very talented people, that still have a lot of respect for old-fashioned kind of filmmaking that actually could do a good job. Like you said, it's not like, McCready, we need to take you back to the base and you need to just go and dig up this thing and kill it again. It could be something in the same universe.
That's a very 80s way of looking at sequels.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's why I'm glad when they did like Predator 2.
Yes.
They didn't, whether I don't know whether Schwarzenegger didn't agree to appear, or I'm not sure. So reason behind that, but it was we did the jungle, so let's do the concrete jungle. Let's do LA and that sort of thing.
Makes a lot of sense from a Predator's perspective.
Yeah, you won't want to repeat that same.
No.
So I just you could do it. Part of this thing, escape but froze again. You'd sort of be dropping on familiar territory, but a new cast of characters not related to the incident at Outpost 31. would probably be the way to go. But again, I just feel it was unnecessary because I think everything they needed to do with that story was done in John Carpenter's The Thing, and it wrapped up perfectly. And
I can only say the final line that McCready says is like about maybe they shouldn't survive. Knowing the fact that there's no guarantee that both of them are human, but there's no guarantee that any of them are the Thing, but they still said maybe we shouldn't survive.
Yeah.
And I feel that's the film completely tied up.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, great stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, so if you want to hear more from us, then we'll be here again with our next episode, and we're everywhere at the minute. With SoundCloud, in Spotify, and Pocket Casting. So you can find us pretty much. Obviously one of these search engines. Search for Geek and Biscuits, and we'll be there. Share with your friends. If they're not on Spotify, they'll find us somewhere else. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. We'll leave that entirely up to you.
Yeah, we're on Twitter and Instagram as well, where we'll also post news that we feel you guys and ourselves are interested in and like.
And you'll also find us on Facebook. So with that, that's goodbye from me.
Yeah, goodbye from me.
And tune in for our next episode. Goodbye.